I want to really get started in helping you to understand what's in between your ears first. Before you understand someone else's, I want you to understand the concept of how the brain actually works. Everyone knows someone like this. Some of us are these people, but we all at least know somebody like this. We're really stubborn in pursuit of the path. Let's just call it human behavior. The path of human behavior means I collect data. I collect information. I watch YouTube videos. I listen to podcasts. I watch Andrew Huberman and listen to some neuroscience stuff on YouTube. Or I listen to something and I gather information. The goal is what? To be good at it. Most people that you know are stubborn in pursuing the path that they have chosen. I'm going to learn behavior instead of the goal of getting good at it. I don't want you on a path. I want you in pursuit of a goal. Path versus goal is a big difference. If I had a one-page script to get a free coffee at Starbucks, get upgraded to first class on an airplane, maybe have the Uber driver comp your entire ride just because you could persuade that person. What if I had all the linguistics nailed down? Everything perfect. The exact words to say, how to move your hands when you're talking, everything on one page, one sheet of paper. Everybody would want that, right? Everybody would want that sheet. Here is a flight checklist for a Boeing 737. Who's a pilot now? This is it. Somebody worked for 25 years to come up with this series of best practices to take off an aircraft. Who can take this and go do it? None of us would feel confident, right? What if your family was in the plane? But we have all the steps. We've got all the steps right here. None of us are lacking a script. I want you to think about the difference between how come someone else can take this and go take that plane off versus you. Because these are the same steps they're going to follow. Do you agree? What's the difference? Skill, experience. And mostly, this is on the surface. The difference is depth. The difference is when it says, turn on APU, auxiliary power unit, that they understand what that does. They understand what it means. They understand what to do if it fails. They understand what to do if the light turns green or red or orange. And that's depth. And it feels cool to be in possession of that script. But it doesn't really give us much substance. But let's say that I had the perfect script on how to get upgraded to first class. And now I take that perfect script, the exact words, how to move your hands, where to move your eyes, when to lean, and I give it to a person with severe social anxiety. And they go deliver it. Are they going to be successful? No. So what makes the difference? Depth. The depth of understanding of human behavior is what makes the difference. If I give that script to somebody with like unstoppable social confidence, are they going to be more successful? Yeah. So we have our goals set up here, but I want to talk about something that is a little controversial, and I want to tell you about the brain in a way that I don't think you've ever heard it before. Your brain is going to default to thinking of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The moment the pyramid comes up, I even copied the colors from the average psychology textbook and average online thing, just to make your brain default to thinking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I also know that all of us have seen that pyramid before. And now I know if you've seen something before, I can borrow from your memory. And what am I mostly borrowing? Authority. I'm borrowing authority from someone. This is the hierarchy of our brain. And the most important part is down towards the bottom, just about above our belly button, all the way through the back, right? Our spinal cord. That part of our brain is really important. That part of our brain is our default mode. It's going to take over if you're doing something stupid and either knock you out or make you breathe. Who's ever held a baby, like a 5-6 week old baby before? You ever held it over like a coffee table or like a kitchen counter and you see the baby's legs kind of do this little walking motion and the parents are like, oh, look, he's already learning how to walk. He's already, this is amazing. He's so smart. He's so intelligent. You know, he's trying to walk. No, the baby's not trying to walk at all. That's a spinal cord reaction to seeing a level surface because our ancestors walked. That baby is not processing anything in its brain about walking. Our ancestors, if something helped save their life or something helped keep our ancestors alive, the more it saved our ancestors, the closer to the spinal cord it got. So our memories are stored and passed down by our ancestors through our spinal cord and our mammalian brain. This is the reason we can't hold our breath. Like when we protest with our parents, I'm just gonna hold my breath. My kids did that to me. I said, go ahead, I dare you. So if we think in terms of this, of where the brain stem is the most important thing, according to this chart, the prefrontal cortex is the least important. And what does all persuasion, all behavior, all influence training, even if you have a PhD in psychology, what they teach you in school is only the top. If you went to a really good school, they might teach you how to get to the little blue part. The closer we get to the base of this pyramid, the more effective we are as communicators, as influencers, persuasion experts, behavior experts, fill in the blank. The closer you get to the base of this pyramid, the better you are at influencing a human being. So let's just transfer this into a hierarchy of influence. If I'm looking at the top of this pyramid, I'm going to change a person's thoughts. I have a sales script. I go to a copywriting course. I go buy a book on influence on Amazon. It's going to teach us how to influence thoughts. But if I go deep, I'm going to get a book called Storytelling by John Truby. And this is going to tell me how to write stories that pull emotions out of people, how to make people emotional, not just make them understand what the character's going through, but make them feel what the character's going through. And that's a difference, big difference. So now if I'm a copywriter, an influencer, a salesperson, and I can make people emotional, now I'm changing a chemical reaction in that person's brain. So your most advanced influence, your advanced influence training gets you to level 2. And the reason we don't see a lot of this is because either the techniques didn't work, or for those people, they couldn't figure it out. But we also see a lot of people that are information experts, not experience experts. So level 3 here is called patterns. And what we mean by this is lifetime patterns. So this is our behavioral patterns that we develop over our lifetime. I go to work, there's a script I have for going to work. Anything we do repeatedly, our brain turns into an app. So that young girl, let's say her name is Nicole, and she goes into Starbucks in the morning, she's in driving mode, which is a script, right? So we all have a driving script, which is why we can text, or which we shouldn't, but why we can change the radio. But the moment that we see brake lights, or we see a car spinning out, or we see blue lights in the rearview mirror, the script turns off. The script turns off because your brain's like, whoa, I didn't memorize this. This isn't part of our memorized stuff. You need to pay attention. So we have scripts for everything. Nicole walks into Starbucks and puts on that little green apron, and her brain says, oh, it's time to turn on the Starbucks script. So our brains are always looking around and saying, what is this environment like? And do I have an app for that? Is there an app for that? So if I can get someone to borrow a script, I can predict their behavior. And I want you to understand how monumental this is. If I know I can get a person to borrow a script from hanging out with friends and family, and I'm a salesperson, doesn't matter what phone script I use. It doesn't matter if I'm smiling while I'm talking on the phone so they can hear, because they can hear the smile. That doesn't matter. I'm getting them to borrow from a script of friends and family. I'm good. So what can I do in my position to force that person's brain to say, this is just like that? If I want somebody to be hyper responsive to authority, what might I do? Let's say I am a hypnotherapist or a salesperson, and someone walks in. I have the exact same clipboards that doctors' offices use. I have the same pens that doctors' offices use. I pour a little bit of betadine or something like that into the air purifier so the whole place smells kind of like a doctor's office. That person's brain is like, this smells like, this looks like, this feels like a doctor's office. And then the salesperson comes out, maybe in a white shirt that looks kind of like a white lab coat, So now our brain is hyper responsive to authority because we respond to doctors that way. All of our brain can be teased into borrowing scripts. So if I can predict human behavior by forcing a script, what else can I do? I can get them to borrow a script, but I can also break that person's script. So what happens, remember what we're talking about, we're driving along the road, something happens, like a fire truck, something like that happens, we hear that horn in our ear and it automatically says, I need to pay more attention. So we go from script to absolute focus in 1 second or less. The moment something happens that we didn't predict in our script, the app, the thing that's running the app says, I'm going back to the home screen. The app stops working and we're 100% focused. So I know now, if I can do something that breaks a person's script, I'm manufacturing focus. The fastest way to manufacture focus is novelty. So the moment something is new, something is different, it's automatically generating focus. Our currency, the currency that we are working with, is that person's focus. So if I was to sum up all persuasion in one sentence, it is your ability to capture and lead human focus. That's it. But what about level 4? If you'll notice, these two can kind of lay on top of each other. The more effective we are at influence, the further we're getting to the spinal cord, closer we're getting to the spinal cord. We're creating impulse in human beings. And just 2 days ago, I texted this to my dad. I saw an infomercial when I was 14, give or take, and it was the only time I'd ever taken my parents' credit card. Hand to God, I only did it once. And it was at 2 a.m., give or take, and I'm sitting there watching an infomercial for this thing on TV called the Banjo Minnow. It was a fishing lure. But why did that manufacture some kind of impulse in me? What was the first thing that infomercial had to do so I didn't change the channel? First thing it had to do, because my thumb was on the button, capture focus. And then I looked at it for a minute. I see this guy dragging lures, these people are pulling all the fish. So now what's it doing? Leading focus. So then it's showing people pulling these fish out one after another. It's talking about, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be pulling these fish out and all of my friends are gonna see that I'm catching more than them ever. And how does that make me feel? Really cool, awesome, feels good. Now we're at a chemical level. So I keep watching this and I'm thinking like, I can do that. And they say it's easy, you can absolutely do this, anybody could do it. Now there's a 4-year-old using the lure and I get to see this, I'm like, okay, I can see myself doing it. Then now it's behavioral. Then we get to the end of the infomercial and it says 1995, whatever it was, there's an 800 number there, but guess what they had on the screen? There was a countdown timer. It was a 2-for-1 countdown timer. So now resources, if you go back 1,000,000 years to our ancestors, resources become scarce. We take action more readily. I ran to my parents' bedroom, I pulled my dad's credit card out and called the number. I was just talking to him about it 2 days ago, but I've never mentioned it for 20 years. That's all of me could invoice me for it, but he said it's all right. But this entire process can take 3 seconds. From top to bottom, you can do this in 3 seconds or less. I'm going to show you how to trigger all of this stuff in a cascade very quickly today.